You have been lied to. They told you to work hard, save a little, retire at 65, and that this was freedom. But if 40 years of labor ends in a pension too small to live on, what do you call that? You were not born to serve until death. You were not born to watch life pass while you trade your soul for a salary. The world does not reward the obedient. It rewards the man who sees the trap and walks out of it. And that man begins here. Listen closely, because if you miss this message, you may work to the grave and still die poor. You believe you are free. You believe that hard work will pay off. You believe that one day, maybe after 40 years of labor, if you've been loyal, if you've saved, if you've followed the system, you will get your reward. But I say this to you without apology. If 40 years of labor ends in dependency, then who truly owned your life? I have seen it too many times. Men who gave their entire youth to a job, only to reach the age of 65 with a tired body, a trembling hand, and a fearful glance at the calendar because their money is running out. They obeyed every rule. They stayed quiet. They did what they were told. They worked. They waited. And when the waiting ended, there was nothing waiting for them. I ask you again, who owns the life of a man who gives it away one paycheck at a time, only to die uncertain, unfree, and unremembered? You must understand this. Slavery has changed its costume, but it has never left. The chains are no longer metal. They are made of routine, of debt, of low expectation, of unexamined beliefs. You were told that the system works if you follow it. But what you were not told is that the system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful to someone else's wealth. I will not soften my words. I am not here to encourage you. I am here to awaken you, because until you see the truth of your condition, you will never walk free. You will smile politely while you waste your years and call it responsibility. You will praise the men who enslave you and call it employment. You will wait for a retirement that barely covers your rent and call it security. This is not a tragedy. This is a choice. And that means it can be unchosen if you are bold enough to face it now. In this speech, I will give you the laws that the wealthy learned while others were asleep. I will tell you exactly how Carnegie, Rockefeller, Schwab, Ford, and Lincoln rose from nothing, not by chance, not by favor, but by alignment with truth and obedience to law. You will learn why work alone will never make you free, why retirement is the reward of the obedient, not the free, how schools are designed to shape employees, not owners, why your job is not a plan, it is a placeholder, how the rich obey invisible spiritual laws that poor men ignore, how your daily habits form the prison you call life, why waiting is the enemy and movement is the cure, and how the man who refuses to serve eventually becomes the one who commands. You will answer these questions. What is my life really producing? Have I mistaken obedience for purpose? Why have I delayed the building of wealth? What must I stop doing immediately? What must I repeat every day until my freedom is real? If you are honest, truly honest, you will realize that you are not free. Not yet. But if you stay with me, if you listen to every word, if you repeat what I teach and apply it with precision, you will no longer work until death. You will build a life that works for you. And let me say this plainly, the chains are in your habits. The key is in your mind. And this is your last warning before time makes the decision for you. Affirm this aloud now. I refuse to work my life away and die poor. I was born to own, not to obey. Let us move forward now into part one. Work alone will never make you free. You have been taught to believe in labor. You have been told that hard work is the answer, that if you simply clock in, stay late, serve well, keep your head down, you will one day rise. But the truth is this, work alone will never make you free. You can sell your strength to another man's dream for 40 years and still die without a name. You can give your finest decades to a factory, to a company, to an office, and still retire into scarcity, watching the calendar and the checkbook with equal fear. I do not speak against work. I speak against misplaced loyalty. The man who works without thought is no better than a machine. The man who works without purpose is no freer than a mule. And the man who works without ownership is still a servant, no matter how large the paycheck appears. Let me teach you the difference between labor and wealth. Labor is the effort of the body. Wealth is the command of thought. Most men sell their hours for another man's vision because they never understood this law. Money obeys thought, not time. A man can spend his entire life in toil and be passed by the thinker who dared to build a system. One man digs a hole, the other sells the shovel. Who do you think gets rich? The poor man always points to effort. He says, I worked hard. I showed up every day. But he does not realize that the reward never goes to the one who merely shows up. It goes to the one who builds leverage, the man who, through definite thought, creates something that works without him. Andrew Carnegie worked once and profited forever. He did not simply swing hammers in a steel mill. He designed an empire. He built a system of processes, men, and materials that multiplied while he slept. He used his mind to organize men with skill and vision. And from that moment forward, his ideas earned more than any single day of labor ever could. That is the secret the worker never learns, that the mind is the only true factory of fortune. Yet you have been trained differently. From youth, you were taught to associate hours with income, to believe that your value is based on how much time you give. But time is a poor man's currency. It is the one thing you can never earn back. And every time you trade it for someone else's dream, you are selling the only thing that is truly yours. The truth is this. Men were trained to work, not to think. They were trained to obey, not to build. And now they wonder why they labor for a lifetime and have nothing to show. It is not injustice. It is programming, and it must be broken. You cannot continue to believe that more effort will bring more freedom. It will not. What brings freedom is ownership. Ownership of thought, ownership of systems, ownership of purpose. Until you stop working blindly and start working with definiteness, you will always trade your life for crumbs. Listen to me. A man who never escapes hourly labor dies a servant. It matters not whether you wear a suit or swing a hammer. If you trade your time for pay with no greater plan, you are merely a more expensive slave. But there is a way out. There is a new law to obey, a new identity to form, and it begins here. Affirm now, speak with power. I do not sell my life for crumbs. My work builds ownership, not dependence. This is the beginning of your liberation, but if you stop here, you will fall back into the same old cell. So let us move forward. Part 2, The Retirement Lie, a Slave's Reward. You were told to wait. Wait until your 60s. Work while you're young. Save a little here. Sacrifice today so you can enjoy tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you're tired, you're broke, and your freedom is nothing but a memory you never lived. Retirement is the lie they gave slaves so they wouldn't revolt. The truth they never told you is this. You are not saving for freedom. You are saving to delay collapse. The whole structure was built on the assumption that you would obey long enough to become too weak to question it. They gave you just enough security to keep you from running, just enough hope to keep you from asking, and just enough fear to keep you working. I say this without apology. The man who waits until 65 to begin living was never alive to begin with. You think retirement is a reward? It is a leash. They call it a pension. I call it permission to survive. You were never supposed to reach your final years with dread in your chest and a calculator in your hand. That is not freedom. That is a sentence. And the only crime you committed was trusting a system that was never built to set you free. Let me show you how wealth works. Not the fantasy, but the formula. True wealth is not saved. It is not rationed. It is not handed out at the end like a prize for obedience. True wealth is built through value. It is the byproduct of thought, decision, and the courage to step off the assembly line. Look at Henry Ford. He didn't save his way into millions. He didn't work for someone else until he was 65. He created something that multiplied without him. He built systems. He saw opportunity where others only saw jobs. And because of that, his wealth worked while he slept. That is the difference between the man who builds and the man who waits. The builder lives now. The waiter dies hoping. You were taught that delayed gratification is the key to success, but the truth is that delayed vision is death. If your entire life is built around a reward that only comes when you're too tired to enjoy it, you were deceived. You want to know the truth about retirement? Here's the truth. Most men never make it there. They die before they ever escape the wheel. And the few who do arrive with a body that's weak, a wallet that's light, and a soul that's forgotten what it meant to move with purpose. It doesn't have to be this way, but only if you're willing to break the lie today. Affirm with power. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. I reject the retirement trap. My wealth begins today. The system rewards the silent. Part 3. Schools create obedient workers, not rich men. You were trained, not educated, conditioned, not liberated. From the first day you stepped into a school, they were not preparing you to own your life. They were preparing you to serve someone else's. The school system does not produce creators, it produces cogs. Think carefully. What did they teach you? Sit down, be quiet, memorize, repeat, obey, raise your hand for permission to speak, wait your turn.